Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, I'm your host, Scott Carson. Excited to be here on a Tuesday, and we've got two for you here this morning. We got myself and the amazing woman, the myth, the legend, the original note buyer, she likes to call herself, our good friend, Donna Bauer. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
Glad to have you here as well. How's your summer going? You having a good time this summer?
Awesome. I'll tell you what, I have a built-in pool, and I have used it more this year than the entire time I've lived in this house. It's awesome.
There's nothing wrong with making money while you're sitting in the pool, is there?
And I do that. I have my iPhone, and I'm on my raft in the middle of the pool. I did lose 2 iPhones a couple years ago.
Hey, that just allows you to keep up with the technology. Nothing wrong with that as well. So for Donna, for our audience, for the few people out there that don't know who you are, why don't you take a second and give them your 30-second to 1 minute. Who is Donna Bauer? Who's the original note buyer?
Well, I have been buying notes for 30 years. I was a typical soccer mom looking for a way to better my family's financial future and started doing notes on my dining room table, have been doing it ever since. And I teach people all over the country how to buy and sell. I like seller finance notes, but of course I also do the non-performing, and we can get into that, I'm sure.
Definitely.
So anything having to do with notes, I do it.
Which is what happens with most note investors, right? We all dabble in a few different things here or there, whether it's performing or non-performing or owner-financed or institutional paper or residential or commercial. You know, the beauty is once everybody understands the basics behind paper, they realize the power in it, correct?
That's right. And it's addictive. You can't stop. You know,
it is the crack. It is addictive like heroin. You get your first taste. Give me some more.
Yeah.
So
the big thing that I see, people who have been doing real estate for years, and they might have 40 or 50 properties, and then they find out about notes, and they say, "Why was I ever doing real estate? Should have started with notes." So funny how that works.
So why don't you share with people here your first note deal? I always kind of like to ask people if they're doing some things, different memories and stuff about that. And so we'll get to a few other things I've got. Donna has no clue what I'm going to ask her, which is great.
I know. It's a good thing I trust you, Scott.
That's good. Exactly. But
listen,
I think.
Listen, I brought my boxing gloves just in case.
There you go. Because one of the great things, Don and I are both speaking this coming weekend at the Midwest Note Summit, taking place up at the Great Wolf Lodge outside of Mason, Ohio. We're excited with our friend Vina Jones-Cox is hosting this event up there. So excited. Always glad to speak with you, because what's the beautiful thing is, for most part, I would say for most people, most note investors, it's a pretty friendly community. There's only a few bad, grumpy apples in the business, right, Donna?
Yeah, there are a few of them. You learn to stay away from them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm throwing the link up there for the event. But Donna, why don't you take a second? I know that you got started when you were 2 years old with your first note deal. Why don't you share how did that happen? How did you get involved in the notes?
Well, it was really funny because I wanted to do property management, because I had 8 years managing downtown high-rise office park and stuff. And I took this attorney out for lunch, and I was wanting him to teach me or let me manage his properties. I was starting my own company. And he said, "No, but I'm looking for somebody to run my note business." Or mortgage business is what they called it back then. And so he taught me the business and went to Jimmy Napier's seminar. And, every seminar I could go to, I went to. And that was the beginning of me getting into notes. So it was pretty awesome. I closed my first deal, and you asked me to tell you about that. That is like my favorite deal. It was the coolest thing. Back then, you couldn't buy lists. It's not like today where it's easy. You can get lists all over. And I literally went down to the Hamilton County Courthouse and spent the whole day down there gathering up. It's the mortgagee index list. And Scott, I spent the whole day and came back with 6 names. You wouldn't get very far today on that. It's a good thing we can buy lists. But I was ready to throw in the towel. I thought, there's no way. Can't get a babysitter and spend all my time at the courthouse. And then I thought, you know what? I worked really hard for these, and I sent out 6 letters. And my first deal came from one of those 6 letters, believe it or not. And it was a very cool deal.
Nice. Somebody was wanting to get out of their owner finance note, or family needed help, or what was the situation?
Well, it was two brothers, and they had inherited a free and clear four family over in Price Hill, which is not that great of an area now, but back then it was really nice.
Mhm.
And one was very responsible. He took care of everything. And then David, the one that called me, he was a complete bum. Couldn't hold down a job, wouldn't help with the property, And so the responsible brother buys out the David, and they create this $57,000 first mortgage secured, or excuse me, it was 57,000, but he put $25,000 down.
Wow.
So it wound up that he had a $28,000 mortgage, first mortgage, secured by a $114,000 property. And what was so cool, for my first deal, I did a partial on it.
Oh, wow.
And I bought 36 payments. And I wound up making like $1,700 on that. And then I sent him a letter and I said, "Dear David, it's really been a pleasure doing business with you. In fact, if you ever want to sell the rest of the note, I'll give you $6,000 for the rest." Well, a couple of months later, I get a call from David, and I am not kidding you. He was in jail. And
Wow.
I was his one phone call. He didn't call his mom. He didn't call an attorney. He called Donna, And so I got a notary from the Cincinnati RIA Group, and literally we go into the Boone County, Kentucky jail, and they locked me in the jail cell. And I bought the rest of his notes sitting in the Boone County, Kentucky jail. So that's why, I'll never, ever, ever forget that deal. But then the good part of it is I made $5,372. And again, that was like 30 years ago. That was life-changing. But Scott, and I know you know this, but maybe some of the listeners don't. It wasn't that the $5,000 was life-changing, although that came in real handy considering I was babysitting for $1 an hour. But it was that I did a deal. I proved to myself that this works, and there was nothing stopping me after that. So that's why it's so special.
Yeah, and I know that you've got such a big heart for it, just like we do here as well. So whenever we see them do their first deal and the lights go off, there's nothing better than that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because once you close a deal and you understand that it works, there's no stopping you. It's just amazing. Because I think, whenever you start something new, there's always like this little, voice of doubt. Will this work or not? But once you know that it does, oh my gosh, the sky is the limit.
Mm-hmm. How has your business changed? What's probably been the biggest change over the last 30 years for you as being a note buyer?
Wow, there's been lots of cycles. I started out working at home, then I went to an office, then I went back home, then I got another office, had a huge staff, and then went back home again. I mean, I've been all around, but that's the beauty of doing the notes, Scott, that you can totally tailor make your game plan to fit your life as well as whatever's going on in the marketplace. And I will tell you, at this point in my life, I've got 6 grandkids, and I love being at home. I love not having employees, and that's where I'm at right now. And that's why things are so different between you and I. 15 years ago, I'd be rocking and rolling like you are and doing the non-performing notes. But for me, I'm really enjoying the seller carrybacks, and I still do some of the non-performing. We'll talk about that when you're ready.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of it. There's so many different opportunities out there, and that's what I wanted to bring up next. Is there's so many different opportunities. What do you say to somebody out there who says, "I can't find any deals"?
Then they're not looking. Take off the blindfolders. Get out of your house. Get off the couch. And it amazes me that people think like these deals are just going to drop from heaven, and they can. I'm a believer, but the fact is that you need to be out in the market, and you need to get where the deals are, get where the people are. And Scott, I don't know about you, but I've done all types of marketing, and I will tell you hands down, the best marketing is networking.
Mm-hmm.
And people think that that's so abstract. It's not like, okay, buy 500 names and send out letters. That's a real matter of fact. Do this, this, and this. But my students who they actually make put it on their calendar. I'm spending 1 day a week, and I'm going to go here, here, and here. I'm going to visit these banks. I'm going to do this, and those are the people that are successful. And if you ask, where did people find deals? Many times. We were talking before, and you were talking about the meetup groups. My young nephew, his first deal came from a meetup group.
Nice.
And he just stood up and he said, I buy notes. And the guy said, wait a minute, I got a note. He said, I know somebody who's got a note. And he made $15,000 on that deal. And he was 21 years old. So
nice. Well, and that's the thing that people don't realize. You have to open your mouth and talk to people.
Yes. Absolutely. And like if you're sitting at a soccer game or, wherever you are, ask people, what do you do? Oh, I buy notes. Do you know anybody who's ever carried back a note? Or do you know someone who's in trouble with their mortgage? Maybe I could buy the note from the bank, that kind of thing. But you have to open your mouth, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We've got some fans out there this morning saying, Laura Blunk here in Wimberley says, good morning. Eric Pittman, good morning to you, bud, as well. To you. If you guys have questions, make sure to type them in the comments. We'll make sure to get them asked here of Donna as well before we let her get out of here today. Because she's had a busy day as well. But so networking is obviously important. Going out and sending letters to owner finance owners is a big play that you guys do on a regular basis. And that's what was the word? Somebody told me, he says, if you plant a seed today, you're not going to harvest tomorrow. It's all about a process and building a pipeline. Correct, Donna?
Yes, absolutely. That's the networking. It comes over time. But there's also mentioning networking. It's not just random. What you want to do is you want to look for people who carry back notes. Now, I'm referring to seller carrybacks. I would use a completely different technique if I was going to do the non-performing. But for the seller carrybacks, probate attorneys, real estate attorneys, divorce attorneys, because when people get a divorce and they divide up the equity, a lot of times one partner takes a mortgage for their share of the equity, and then they want to cash out of it. Probate attorneys are great because when their client passes on, then they're just trying to get some cash for the heirs. And so that works out really well. Mortgage brokers. One of my new students is a mortgage broker, and he just sent out an email to his list of clients and immediately comes up with a seller finance note. We just closed that. And he says, hey, Donna, there's a lot more where that came from. I said, I'm ready. Bring it on.
I will totally agree to that, because as an ex-mortgage broker, you see a lot of people's financials if you're decent.
Exactly.
And when you're filling out the 1003 or the loan application, that's a great thing that most people don't realize out there. And there are lists of mortgage brokers you can buy in states, or using the national MLS, or going to your local mortgage bankers association meetings and stuff like that. That's a really great tip there. Where's my money sound? That's a money sound kind of tip there for you. I love the divorce deals. I didn't even think about that. The divorce deals as well as there. The attorneys we're used to, because we see a foreclosure list, and you see an attorney foreclosing, for an individual or an IRA company as well. That's a great. Those are some 3 big nuggets right there. Let's get some more cash here. Donna deal maker this morning, baby. All right.
Financial planners are also good, Scott, because they know exactly what people are holding. Yeah.
That's good stuff there. Now, what do you say to those who mailing letters out and they get people calling back in and they don't want to take a discount? You ever run into that, any?
Oh yeah. Sometimes we do. Well, I just explained to them that if I'm going to give you money today and I have to wait for the money, I mean, which would you rather have, $1 today? Well, I don't say $1. I usually say, do you want $50,000 today or $50,000 over 20 years? If I've got to wait 20 years to get my money, then it's not worth $50,000 for me right now. And I just explained that I need to be able, he's going to be able to take that money and invest it. And in 20 years, he could have over $100,000. And here I am sitting here collecting the payment. So that's why it's worth less money, because of the earning power, because I have to wait for my money. And usually I don't have a problem with it. It's only when people don't need the money. Well, if they don't need the money, I wouldn't take a discount either, But if they need the money, they understand. And a lot of it has to do, as you know, Scott, with the quality of the note. And so sometimes I need to explain, this person really has bad credit. I'm not sure, I may need to foreclose on them. It might take me years to get paid, or this balloon is they're not going to be able to pay that. I'm going to have to, let that pop the balloon, as they say, and, let it pay off over time. And so I explain, or maybe it's a zero interest note. And I'll just say, look, I could put my money out and be collecting 10, 15% interest. Why would I want to invest in a zero interest note? So I'll buy it for less if you want to sell it for less. The bottom line is that I give a fair price. And if they want cash, I get the deal.
There you go. And you are an expert, and I love the way that you teach the financial calculator as well.
Thank you.
I think you teach it better than anybody else out there in the industry.
Thank you, Scott.
And it's very important, right? And it's a simple tool that most people don't understand, and it's so valuable with the HP 10B2, or heck, I even have this on my smartphone calculator now. Where I can take a look at it, right?
I like it on the smartphone because you can see the memory, whatever is left in the registers. I actually use my smartphone more than I do my calculator, for that reason. So, you don't need to have a calculator. If you're just flipping notes, you find somebody and they want to sell a note for $50,000, and you send that to me or to you, to a note buyer, and they say, hey, I'll give you $75,000 for it. Well, shoot, that's an easy flip, But so you can do it without using the calculator. But I'm kind of a nerd like that, and I like to get in there and go, wow, if I bought it this many, then I can make this rate of return. But hey, maybe I should buy this many, and and I love doing that. And somebody taught me this years ago. We used to have this mastermind group. There were like 4 or 5 people. I was the only woman way back then, and I went in and I'm like closing a deal or two a month. And this is like the first year that I'm in business. And I was bored. And one of the men said, Donna, you're doing this all wrong. And I'm going, what are you talking about? I'm closing deals, And they said, you need to start looking at how you can make more money. Instead of making $2,000 on a deal, let's restructure it. Let me show you how you can change your offer and make $5,000. And he was so right. And I've been doing it ever since.
I'm so glad you brought that, because so many people, when they get into real estate, they get scared. I don't have the money. I don't have the credit. It's like hot potato is what I like to say, like, just give me something.
Yes.
There's a couple ways to structure. Let's learn, let's dive in, do a little due diligence, because you may be leaving a lot of money on the table. And that's there's nothing wrong with wholesalers. God bless them. We all need them to send us deals that they can't take down. But private capital is pretty easy to raise these days. Wouldn't you agree to that, Donna?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I mean, people want to invest in notes, and they want to invest in notes because you have the security of the real estate, but you don't have the headaches that go with it. I mean, it is have your cake and eat it too,
Mm-hmm.
So
you want to give away? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. I said, do you have any tips for those that are looking to raise capital about how to raise it? Any tips that you'd like to share?
Well, probably we're talking 2 different things. Okay. When you talk about raising capital, are you talking about raising millions for like a pool, or what are you talking about?
I'm talking just somebody's got a deal and they need some capital to take it down. We're talking like a one-off deal, bread and butter play for the most part.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I think a key thing is establishing rapport with a private investor. And I really love working with real estate investors because they do appreciate the security. And a key thing that I do is I put together an executive summary that it makes it a no-brainer. I mean, I put, cash flow available, 100 payments of $500 a month, cash investment required, expected rate of return, loan to value, fair market value of the house, attached is the appraisal. And then I write up a little summary about it. And so basically I have the summary, and then I have all my supporting documents, my appraisal, my title, a copy of the documents and stuff. And so I lay it all out to them in such a way that they go, my gosh, this is a done deal. Hey, I'll wire the money. Where do I send it? So I think presenting the deal, like it bothers me because I get people sending notes to me all the time. Do I want to buy them? And Scott, you probably get this too. I don't even know what they're selling.
Right.
It's like, come fun. One fellow sent me a non-performing note, wanted me to get involved in, and I didn't have a clue what the deal was. You need to be very succinct and explain exactly what it is, because quite frankly, I probably turned things down just because I can't sort them out. Whereas if they had sent me a good submission form and if they were clear about what they had, I might have made an offer on it.
A confused mind is a no mind, is what I always like to say.
That's exactly right. The other thing, Scott, that I think is so important in dealing with investors is I never sell an investor a note that I would not personally buy. Now, that doesn't mean, I don't want to invest in California, but I would sell a California investor a California note. You know what I'm saying? But if I lived in California, would I not buy it? If there's a red flag that I don't think it's a good note, man, I turn that down. And I think that you need to treat your investors well, take good care of them, always be honest with them and straightforward. And what happens is they keep coming back to you for more. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have investors. People think that you need this huge database. You don't, because the notes pay off and the people keep coming back and they tell their friends.
And then the best thing that they say often when you send them a check, when you close out a deal, is, when can we do this next, right?
Exactly. I had one fellow, Scott, he bought my first note. He was actually the person that encouraged me to learn notes, okay? And this was right at that same time when I was meeting with this attorney. And I did over 100 deals with this man over the years. And it was completely awesome. And he'd say, Donna, so-and-so just paid off. I've got a check for $75,000. Do you have anything? And man, I would tell him on the phone, yeah, I've got this. And it's a 12% return, a 60% loan to value. He'd say, write it up. I'll be over tomorrow with the check. And literally he would sit down, look at the package that I put together and hand me a check. I mean, and now understand that takes, we had done a lot of deals by the time we got to that point, but still,
I still love it. You said one thing, an executive summary on the deal. And we're not talking a Reader's Digest abridged version.
No.
We're talking 1 page, 2 page about the deal, some photos. It makes you look like you actually did some due diligence on the deal, right?
Well, I do.
I know. I know. But I'm talking more than just printing off a Zillow page. Here's the realtor pulled comps on the property. Here's the last 12 months of payments. Here's what we got from the hedge fund, the original BPO, updated values. This is not rocket science we're talking about. Simply putting it together and talking really kind of your strategy. What's your plan of action?
Exactly.
To take this deal down? And then, of course, the important thing, what will you do when things go wrong, right?
They need to know that. And honestly, like with my seller carryback notes, very seldom do they ever go wrong. But I mean, you have to prepare for the worst because you don't know what's going to happen, And I think that if they stay with a safe loan to value and everything, they're going to make a higher rate of return if it goes bad. You know what I mean? I mean, I have people who wish their notes would go bad so they could take the property.
I was looking at a note this last weekend with some students, and the same thing. We're like, this is the deal that you hope the bar goes bad on it. You don't want to collect this monthly payment. You want them to not perform so you can get the asset and go from there. So, and that's, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to switch topics for a second. May I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, so I'm wondering, in the past, I always said you got to have an appraisal in the file. And I am so fed up with appraisals. They can be anything you want them to be. And so I have been just doing my own research and I get a spread. I mean, I understand that Zillow and Truly and those, you can't rely on them. But if you check enough places and you check the tax auditor site and everything, I feel like I have a better handle on it than if I get a full-blown appraisal. Have you run into that?
I would agree to this 100%. I think $400 for an appraisal is not worth the paper it's written on. I think you always need to put eyes on the property, and I think you need to have the person that's looking at the property be the one to pull a CMA for you. I mean, you don't need you pay for a BPO, but those big BPO companies often it's an established agent who's sending an assistant out, or they're just jumping on pulling a CMA, not really looking at things. So I'm a big believer of knowing the high to the low. What's going on in the market. How does our asset compared to those assets?
That's what I do. We're on the same page.
Yeah, and then looking at what's pending, what's sold, and then any actives that are there in those days on markets. Because the way I look at it, if I'm going to sell a note, if I have to take a property back, I'm going to try to solicit it 85, 90 cents on the dollar just to get the thing moved at worst case.
Right.
I don't list it at full value because I don't want it sitting out there rotting. Then I've got to drop the price down. Then,
Exactly.
concede, concessions. I'd rather list it at 85, get in a multiple offer situation, and then have it bid up, and then no.
I do the same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just people don't realize that. I think a lot of people get it's worth 100. Well, really, it's probably worth 75.
Yeah.
Let's not cap out your investor at 60 cents on the dollar of 100. Let's do it at 60, at 75, so it's safe. And then worst case, you get a little bit of that back end if it turns out that way. It's better to err on the side of conservative of the values versus the best, right?
I totally agree. We're definitely on the same page there, so that's good.
Well, and the beautiful thing about notes too, because I was talking literally here in my offices, we've got a mortgage company here. We're talking about, she's just been slammed as people are starting to realize that rates aren't going down, rates are going up. A lot of things. And I'm sure you're seeing that property values are starting to dip. We're seeing it all across the country.
Yes.
I think we've turned that cusp and coming down.
I agree.
And the beauty of our business is we're kind of recession proof. Wouldn't you agree to that to a certain extent?
Yeah, if you buy right and if you're careful about your loan to values. And what I love about it, Scott, is for people who are ultra conservative, you can totally control the safety of your investment. Just buy a partial. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to be at an 80% loan to value, just buy, the first 5 years of payments, get yourself in at a 25 or 30% loan to value. If the market falls apart, you're still going to get your money. So I think everybody has a different place. They have different levels of safety and where they're comfortable. They have different goals. Some people are wanting cash flow. Other people want a lump sum of money. Other people are building retirement. Some people work full time and they only have part time, where they can do any investing. And the beauty with notes is you can totally do whatever works for you and what, depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
That's true. And I love that. For those that don't know, Donna and I were on a radio interview with our friend Vina Jones-Cox, sparring back and forth.
Hey, I have an extra pair here for you.
Good.
I brought it.
We'll be ready to, there we go. Be ready to rock and roll this weekend. Get it on.
I'll bring these this weekend. It will be fun. I promise I won't hurt you. I do want everybody to know they're friends. I was worried if somebody was listening to that debate that they would think we were really serious. I mean, it was a friendly debate. You know what I mean?
And the beautiful thing, we were taking jabs back and forth on some things. And I'm like, oh, great, it's awesome, I love it. And then when I called you up this last week, it was funny. He's like, oh, I have to apologize. I'm like, apologize for what? Oh, we sent an email that we cleaned your clock. Oh, that's great. That's marketing. I love it. You don't have to apologize.
Oh, that was funny. So I'm waiting for the shoe to drop here. I don't know what you're going to say to me on this interview. It's payback.
We're good. We're good. We're good. I'll wait till we're in person.
Oh no.
That way you can really defend yourself. Now, one of the great things that you have actually coming up at the end of September, you've got a big workshop, a big training class as well too. We were talking about it earlier because we've had you on Note Camp before and been a great success with that. That's the same week, but you've got an event going on. You want to talk a little about kind of what goes on in your workshops and events too? Because they're usually a couple days, aren't they?
Yeah, they're 4 days. It's September 27th. It's the same time as Note Camp, unfortunately. Right. We need to plan that from now on.
Next time, one of us should make a phone call.
But it's Thursday through Sunday, and it's 4 days, and it is me teaching all 4 days. I might have one or two. I always ask Alan Cowgill to come because his private lending fits so nicely with the notes. But it's very cool. I do teach. I provide all the food, which is a little different. The biggest complaint I get is that people gain 10 pounds from being there. And the atmosphere is amazing. It's in an iconic hotel. It's a round hotel, the Radisson, with a revolving restaurant. I'll tell you how iconic it is. I went to my prom dinner there when it was new. but no, we go up there and you get a chance to meet people and network. And like I said, Scott, you know how important networking is. And then after learning all about good paper and bad paper and creating paper and how to use a calculator and all those things, on Saturday night, I take everybody on a riverboat cruise. It's a B&B riverboats, and they have like a replica of the old paddle boats. And we have a really nice dinner and cruise up the river for an hour and a half and come back down. So it's fun, and you learn a ton about notes. When people leave there, they feel like they're experienced, even though they haven't. They've never bought a note before. And you make lots of new friends, and the synergy that's created, just like the synergy on your note camp. Whenever you can get a group of people, of like-minded people together, things happen, So
that's so true. It's just getting to know different people's perspective. Plus, you've got a built-in network there of people you can reach out to. And, I buy from students. I sell to students on different things. We get pools in. It's a whole network. And there's still so many deals out there. It's not like the wholesale markets out there, or the people that are on the REO refugees that are dying for a deal. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. It definitely is. It's such a friendlier community. People sharing resources. Oh, hey, check out this person, or use this attorney to get a foreclose, or use this servicer. Just a great thing too. I was gonna put out too. Somebody is a good tip for finding owner finance notes too that you're looking to buy. Reach out to the servicers. They often are servicing owner finance notes as well, and have people there that are looking to
absolutely
sell off some of their portfolios as well, for those that are listening out there as well. We've seen that happen quite a bit.
You need to ring that thing of the money thing for yourself.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. I'm gonna send you one of these. All right.
Okay. and title companies go along with that as well.
That's huge.
They are very good also. So
people don't. One of the best things you can do as a real estate investor is make friends with your local title agents, the closers, because they're really the spoke in the middle that brings everything together in local real estate communities. And we've always raised capital, always found investors, always found great resources by taking them out to lunch or figuring out what kind of wine they like and ship them wine on a regular basis.
Yeah. You were asking before about, are there still notes out there? A lot of people say, now that the market's recovered, there aren't as many non-performing notes. Scott, I bought my first non-performing note in
a few years ago.
Long time ago. Right. I mean, within the first year that I was in business, I was buying non-performing notes. And the thing is, like I mentioned before, you go with the flow. The market goes up, it goes down, and you just get ready. You switch depending on what's what. You use different tools for finding the deals, but they're always out there. I mean, if it's not a cash deal, it involves a note and mortgage or a note and deed of trust. And so you just go with the flow. And I mean, it's been great for me for 30 years, and I'm going to keep on going till I can't do it anymore. Right.
Now, I want to ask you, you live in Ohio. What part of Ohio do you live in?
In Hamilton, just north of Cincinnati.
Just north of Cincinnati.
Township.
Okay, that's what I thought. So when you said Hamilton County, Ohio, I believe, is like it's like the pot of gold at the end of the foreclosure rainbow.
I've heard that. Yeah, it is. Lots of deals here.
There are lots of deals up there. The same thing in Michigan as well. We were just up in Michigan last month looking at some assets. We're closing some things there. I used to buy a lot in Florida years ago, and that market has rebounded strong. I think it's a little overpriced right now, but that's what I get at when you live in an area. You don't have to be investing in California. You don't have to be investing down here in the Lone Star State in Texas. We love our guns.
Hey, I'm still buying a lot of notes in Texas.
Sure. I agree. I'm not going to argue with you.
Always have. In fact, the second note that I bought was from Texas.
Let's talk about that story. You remember what's the details of that one?
Gosh.
Yeah.
That's been too long ago. I remember the file, and no, I don't. I can't tell you the details.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
It was just a note that I flipped.
And that's a great day. Texas, with us doing everything fast here, fast highways, fast foreclosures, fast executions. It's a desirable state for people to lend in, and it's we've been pretty solid value, especially in the last 10 years. Things have gone up here a little bit. I think when the downturn happens this time around, we're probably going to take a little bit more of a hit. Mm-hmm. But that makes me want to ask you. I have the note here. Where do you think the market is going in the next 24 to 36 months? If you had a crystal ball, what would you say? What would you think, or where do you see it's going?
I do see that the market has made a turn, and I think that we're the property values are going to go back down. I mean, it's cyclical. That's what happens. I'm hoping that people learned from the previous mistakes, but I'm sure they haven't. Hopefully, we won't hit bottom like we did before. I think that there's enough in place. I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think that it's going to be any worse than any other time when the market took a downturn. I don't expect another 2008. Do you?
No,
I don't at all.
Mm-mm.
I mean, no one ever knows what's going to happen, but that was like the perfect storm of everything happening all at one time. And I don't see that happening.
I hope not.
Yeah, exactly. But real estate is cyclical. It's always it's just going to be a constant, it's going to go up. And then there's this retrenchment where, everything adjusts and then it comes back down. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And the beauty of doing notes is that regardless of whether you're on the high end or the low end, there's always something you can do with notes to make money.
Mm-hmm. That's what I love about this business. You just got to tweak some things. I've tweaked my business for the last couple of years. We were buying a lot of first liens. And then as the market changed, we've been buying a lot of contract for deeds. We've also bought some owner finance notes and stuff like that. And that's what I've been telling people. Listen, wherever the paper is at, the paper's at.
That's right.
Go there. And you can't be the one so stuck in your ways that you don't evolve. Because everything evolves, and you just have to learn to go with the flow and knock out the deal when it appears on your plate, right?
Exactly. And, people now have the idea that I don't do non-performing notes, and that's simply not true. I love the seller carrybacks. I like dealing with them. They're much easier. The big thing, the main reason that I prefer the seller carrybacks is that I can systematize them. And so I can personally deal with a large pipeline of seller carryback notes. But the non-performing notes, while you make usually a lot more money on them, they take so much longer. And so when I had 7 people working for me, and then that was great. We ran a great pipeline of non-performing notes of both, but there were more non-performing. But for me right now, and especially because I coach my students, I can't coach all my students on non-performing notes. There is not enough of me to go around. Whereas with the seller carrybacks, and I do have some people on the side that I can outsource to. You have to. I mean, when things get really busy. But that's why I prefer the seller carrybacks. I also just want to mention that I still buy non-performing notes. I believe it or not, I am building a small rental portfolio just because I think it's a wise thing to have a balanced portfolio. And so I'm using the defaulted notes. Like when somebody sends me a pool, I look, and if there are any in my area where I'm farming, then I try to buy that note, and then I'll either negotiate and get the deed from the borrower, or I'll go ahead and step into the bank's shoes and foreclose and get the house. And so far, I've done very well in just getting the deed from the person. And it makes a big difference when you can drive over there and knock on their door. You know what I mean? And you're right there and you can talk to them. And so I see, for me now, the defaulted notes are a great way for me to acquire properties. And so your life changes. Just like the real estate goes through cycles, so does your life. And so for me, using those to acquire properties is working well.
Couldn't agree more with you. I love it. Absolutely love it. And where's your rental portfolio in case I see anything I can send over to you?
In Hamilton?
Just still in Hamilton. Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure you want to be within just a few minutes there because hey, who wants to get out of a pool on a 104-degree day, right?
Exactly.
What questions do you guys have for Donna out there? Everybody, we got some more highs. Christian Fuller saying, applause and loving some of the tips. Same thing, Carlos REI, investor out there as well. Loving this stuff. And so you guys know, once again, we are speaking together this Saturday and Sunday at the Midwest Notes Summit up in Mason, Ohio. You can get tickets there at bit.ly/Midwest Notes, exactly as it shows on screen for you. I think tickets are still $197. If you bring your spouse or guest, it's just $100 for the second person. But You're speaking Saturday and Sunday there, right?
Yes.
You're speaking twice. Same here.
I think Sunday too. Yes, I'm gonna do a calculator thing on Sunday. My main talk will be Saturday.
Right. And I'm speaking on marketing Saturday, and then also on non-performing on Sunday. So they've got a good, and then we're not the only ones. They've got Tony Satil, who's a great foreclosure attorney in their offices. We had his partner Franco Barilla on here a couple of weeks ago. He'll be there. And then there's just a bunch of other presentations going on in the note industry out there. But heck, come on out. I mean, they've got a lot of great stuff. They're going to have quite a few vendors there as well. Literally be able to have your note, really kind of a note in a box, business in a box at one event for the most part. Right, Donna?
Absolutely. Hey, Scott, this is worth driving to.
Yes.
I mean, this is 2 really full days of information. Vina does a fabulous job of pulling together really knowledgeable people, the real go-getters in the industry. And I promise you, it will be jam-packed with information. And definitely, if you're interested in notes, it'd be worth driving or flying to get there for sure.
Yeah, Southwest is not expensive to fly to. It's well worth it.
There you go. Absolutely.
You could definitely catch a cheap rental car, Uber all the way out there if you needed to. It's on at Great Wolf Lodge there. So if you wanted to bring your kids, send them to the water park. You can come in and learn for a couple of days. So that's the beautiful. It's in a great convention center, great hotel, plenty of food all the way around there. Heck, ride your Harley in, and you can park and go to the Harley Davidson after hours. That's down the road from it. So
take me for a ride on it.
I think we want them in the training.
After the event.
There you go. After the event. Got a comment here. Warren Jen, hey, says, I love Donna's enthusiasm. I bet she's an amazing instructor. She is. Warren's out of North Carolina market, actually.
Nice to meet you, Warren.
Yeah, Warren's doing a great job out there as well. So, well, Donna, I don't want to take too much of your day. How do people get a hold of you? What's your website? What's the best way for people to reach out to check out your schedule events, the classes that you're offering up?
Check out thenotebuyer.com. Don't forget the THE notebuyer.com. And you can contact me through there. I've got all the information for my academy on there. And I'm just starting a members area and a blog. There's a lot of good videos on there, a lot of information I think you'll enjoy. Yeah,
definitely. And Don's knowledge, I mean, anytime you can have 30 years of note knowledge out there, the ups and downs, because we've gone through a few cycles, and somebody's doing performing, non-performing, stuff like that. That's why we've got Donna on here. That's why we bring her on the Note Closer Show here with everybody else out there, guys. We love bringing on great people who, as like Warren says, have great energy, love to share, have a big heart, because that's how we all win. That's how we make America great again, one note at a time, by working together to make things happen. Right, Donna?
And next time you're going to be on my webinar.
There we go. Love it. Good stuff.
That would be great. That would be.
I'll bring the hat out, the gloves out then for sure. Already.
Okay. And thank you for being easy on me.
Hey, not a problem. The thing is that I don't think there's enough people out there sharing what's going on in the market for the most part. There's a lot of people that are scared, the naysayers that you can do it, and you can do this business, whether it's on the non-performing or the performing paper. Paper's paper.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly.
Paper, the powers of paper. So definitely.
Well, I want to say, I really appreciate what you do, Scott. I appreciate your getting the information out there to everyone. And I think it's awesome, because you've done a huge job in educating people. And I appreciate your niche, even though we go at it with the gloves.
That's okay.
10 years ago, I might have been doing the same thing as you, but it's just not for me right now. You know what I mean?
That's okay. Trust me. I've had some conversations lately. I'm like, okay, it's time to start tweaking some things of what we're doing to spend more, because I love the Bahamas. I love my feet in the sand and, butt in the water with a cold one floating by as well too. And Steph and I have been talking about some things recently and some changes that we're going to be making here relatively shortly. So pretty stoked about it, but always respected you, Donna. Glad to have you on here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know you're prepping for this weekend just like I am, but
Yes, my pleasure. Look forward to seeing you this weekend, and I hope you all will come out. You'll love the event. Absolutely.
Exactly. So everybody, check it out, thenotebuyer.com for Donna's class schedule. Once again, we'll post the comments below as well with that, and then also we'll post the link again for you to get signed up for the Midwest Note Summit. It's well worth the trip. I think there'll be 200 plus people at it, so it's a decent size event. And then of course, Donna and I and everybody else will be hanging out there and get a chance just to hang out and pick our brains. And it's a full contact event, like 9 a.m. to like There's a couple things like Saturday nights until 9 o'clock at night, though. I think
Yes.
after dinner break,
They don't stop. It goes all day.
it does go all day. Exactly. Bring your vitamins, and trust me, I may have to bring a few cases of Red Bull for everybody.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
Thanks
awesome.
again, Scott.
You're welcome, Donna. Have a great day. Warren says we all have to find and embrace our niche. Exactly right. Awesome stuff. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Note Closer Show. Once again, thank you so much for listening. For those that are watching this here on Facebook, feel free to share that out there. If you're listening on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, whatever, hey, go on over, give us a 5-star review if you enjoyed it, or share it out there as well. As always, you can reach me at scott@weclosenotes.com if we can help you in any form or fashion. Check out the replays or the live videos, replays if you missed an episode, by going to weclosenotes.tv as well for you. But until that, guys, go out, make something happen, and we'll see you all at the top. Bye.
Bye.